Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's class we are going to discuss about class 12's haloalkane and haloarine chapters, preparation of haloarenes. So in the previous classes we have discussed about preparation of haloalkanes in two videos. In this video we are going to completely discuss about the haloarenes. For preparation of haloarenes we have two methods. One is electrophilic substitution of aryl group, and the second one is diazotization, or it's also called as Sandmeyer's reaction. So for the first one, preparation of haloarene. For preparation of haloarene, first process is electrophilic substitution. So you might have studied electrophilic substitution of benzene in your previous classes, where we use chlorination, bromination for subjecting arene group of benzene to electrophilic substitution. So we'll use that method over here. First one is electrophilic substitution. Electrophilic substitution. For electrophilic substitution of aryl groups, let us take an example. When benzene or any aryl group present is treated with, when we treat benzene or any aryl group with halogen, especially in this case we use chlorine or bromine. If you have to treat iodine or fluorine, you have to use a better reagents. And for now, we'll just consider for chlorination or bromination process. When you treat halogen with a aryl group in the presence of an halogen carrier. So halogen carriers are those which have a higher positive charge and they also carry halogen atoms. For example, FeCl3, and we also call them as Lewis acids. Okay, so when you treat them with halogen for a benzene ring, we get halogenated benzene groups, which is nothing but our haloaryl groups or haloarenes. This is what the reaction looks like, where we treat a benzene group or any aryl group with a halogen atom in presence of FeCl3, or you can also say FeX3, whichever you take. If you take bromine, you can treat them with FeBr3. If you take chlorine, you can treat them with FeCl3. We get haloarenes. Okay, this is now for a benzene reaction. But for an example of any substituent group which is already present on a benzene ring, then we come across two products, that is a mixture of two products, if there is already a substitution present on the benzene ring. For that, let us consider an example of toluene. Toluene is nothing but a benzene ring with CH3 group attached to it. So now this is toluene compound. For this toluene compound, if you treat chlorine in presence of FeCl3, the chlorine can get attached at two positions. One is the ortho position, the other one is the para position. This is because the group present here is CH3, which is ortho or para directing. That means it directs the incoming electrophile either in ortho position or in para position, which resulting in mixture of two products. One is an ortho product like this, and the other one is a para product like this, Cl CH3. So this is called orthochlorotoluene. This is parachlorotoluene. So if you treat benzene ring with no substitution along with halogen in presence of a halogen carrier, we get one type of product where one of the halogen will be attached. If you treat an aryl group which has a substitution already present on it, then we get two products, which is mixture of two products, that is orthochlorotoluene and parachlorotoluene, where we have a CH3 group which is already attached to the benzene ring. So this is about the preparation of haloarenes from electrophilic substitution reactions. Understood? Next, we are going to discuss about is preparation of benzene haloarene by Sandmeyer's process. Second one is preparation of benzene from Sandmeyer's process. preparation of haloarine by Sandmeyer's process. For this Sandmeyer's process, we specifically use a substrate which is called as diazonium benzene salt. Diazonium benzene. That is, we have a benzene ring attached with N2 plus Cl minus. So this is benzene diazonium chloride. This is benzene diazonium chloride. So benzene is nothing but our benzene ring. This diazo means nitrogens in Latins are called aza compound. Therefore they call it, since we have two nitrogen, we call them as diazonium. When benzene diazonium chloride is treated with sodium nitrate. When benzene diazonium chloride is treated with copper chloride CuCl2, when treated with CuCl2 in presence of HCl, when benzene diazonium chloride is treated with CuCl2, it forms haloarenes, that is nothing but chlorobenzene, with the liberation of nitrogen gas. So this is the preparation of chlorobenzene using benzene diazonium chloride. Okay. So that is, when benzene diazonium chloride is prepared or treated with cuprous chloride CuCl2 in presence of HCl acid, it forms chlorobenzene with the liberation of nitrogen gas. In this process, we are using CuCl2 in order to get our compound of chlorobenzene. If you have to prepare bromobenzene, then you have to treat the same benzene diazonium chloride with CuBr2 and HBr. If you treat CuBr2 with HBr, we get bromobenzene. We get bromobenzene along with liberation of N2 gas. And if you have to prepare iodobenzene, we can't use either CuI2 or any of those compounds. What we have to do is, we have to treat them with potassium iodide. When we treat potassium iodide with benzene diazonium chloride, we get iodobenzene. And this reaction is very rare to be formed because it needs much more complicated catalysts and pressure temperatures. So, in order to find iodobenzene, chlorobenzene or bromobenzene, what you have to do is, if you have to prepare chlorobenzene, you have to treat CuCl2 with HCl for benzene diazonium chloride. If you treat cuprous bromide with HCl with diazonium chloride, we get bromobenzene. And if you treat potassium iodide with benzene diazonium chloride, we get iodobenzene. Here, what we have to observe is, in order to prepare this benzene diazonium chloride, first we have to prepare a sodium nitrate complex with HCl. So the reason why we use benzene diazonium chloride is, the N2 present over here can be easily removed when treated with a small hydrochloric acid. So first, we need to know how to prepare this diazonium compound. As this diazonium compound does not obtain easily, we have to prepare that for this particular reaction. So how to prepare that? When we treat sodium nitrate with HCl, we get a complex called sodium chloride along with HNO2. This HNO2 is called nitrous acid. And this is the compound which reacts with aniline. To form our desired diazonium chloride. So how do we do this is, instead of directly treating these two, first what we do is, we treat our aniline with HCl. And bring them to a cold condition, that is for about 0 degrees Celsius or nearly 273 Kelvin. So 273 Kelvin, once they are completely cooled, they are treated with sodium nitrate, which is already cooled, which is already brought down to a cold temperature of 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. When we add this sodium nitrate solution dissolved in water to this complex, which is reacting with one another, what happens is, the nitrogen present over here reacts with the other nitrogen and the chlorine present losing two molecules of water, and this NaNO2 is now converted to our respective HNO2. That is, NaNO2 when treated with HCl, they get converted to HNO2, liberating NaCl, and now we are left with HCl, HNO2 and NH2. Since we have H2 and O2, we can lose water molecules from this reaction, that is 2 molecules of water, and leaving us N and Cl. That is nothing but our benzene diazonium chloride, N2 with a plus charge and Cl minus. This is how we prepare our benzene diazonium complex. So benzene diazonium complex is formed when treated with sodium nitrate is treated with HCl at lower temperature of 0 degrees Celsius, which leads us to the formation of nitrous acid. So this is the normal basic condition. So now what we do is, we treat aniline with hydrochloric acid and then we add sodium nitrate to it. Okay, on adding sodium nitrate to it, this sodium nitrate reacts with the HCl which is at 0 degrees Celsius and gets converted to HNO2, liberating a molecule of NaCl. Okay, so now the two hydrogens react with one oxygen and these two hydrogens react with one oxygen to form 2 molecules of water, and the rest get combined to form diazonium chloride. So this is how we prepare our substrate for Sandmeyer reaction, and this is a complete process of Sandmeyer's, where we treat this benzene diazonium chloride with CuCl2 in the presence of concentrated HCl to get our haloarine. Okay, so this is about the complete preparations of haloarenes. We have two types of preparation for the haloarine. One is electrophilic substitution reaction using halogens in presence of halogen carrier, and second one is Sandmeyer's process, where we use benzene diazonium chloride and treat them with cuprous chloride and HCl. Okay, this is about the preparation. Next, we are going to discuss about is physical properties of haloarenes, haloalkanes and haloarenes. For the physical properties of haloalkanes and haloarenes, one thing we have to remember is the bond between carbon and halogen is highly polar, right? It is highly polar. That is because there is a huge electronegative difference between carbon and halogen. Physical properties. We have a high electronegative difference between carbon and the halogens present. That is, CX bond is completely polar in nature. That means the electrons present on the bond is completely directed towards the halogen atom. Hence, the carbon and halogen bond is highly polar. Further, those carbon and halogen bonds are formed by van der Waals force of attraction. Van der Waals force of attraction. Van der Waals force of attraction. So therefore, we can explain the complete physical properties of haloalkanes and haloarenes using these two basic concepts. So first point is relative strength of Rx with respect to its respective halogens. So if you observe halogens in case of, let us say RCl, RBr and Ri. We don't usually consider RF because it is completely rare to be found. Now we use RCl, RBr and Ri. If you consider these three, as we go down the group, right, chlorine, bromine and iodine are one below the other in the periodic table. As we go down the group, the van der Waals force of attraction increases because of increase in size. Because of the increase in size of the halogen, van der Waals force of attraction increases with respect to chlorine, bromine and iodine as we go down the group. Therefore, the bond strength is of Ri is greater than RBr and it is greater than RCl. Since the bond strength is greater than one like the other, we can also say that using that bond strength, we can clearly say that the boiling point of these elements also will be in this same order. So, boiling point of halogens decreases in this order. That is, boiling point of alkyl iodide is greater than boiling point of alkyl bromide, which is greater than boiling point of alkyl halide. Next is second point, where we have to consider alkyl halide with several number of carbon atoms with a respective polar nature. Since the carbon and halogen are very polar in nature, since the carbon and halogen bond are polar in nature, and further there are lone pair of electrons present in the halogen atom. For this compound to be soluble in water, the electronegative halogen should either get hydrogen bonded with water molecule or it has to break the water molecule's hydrogen bonds. Therefore, what we observe is the carbon-halogen bonds present will not be able to break the hydrogen bond of oxygen. So, it cannot break the oxygen and hydrogen bond, or neither it can make a lone pair of electron attract towards the hydrogen, forming a hydrogen bonding. Therefore, alkyl halides or haloalkanes, alkyl halides or haloalkanes are insoluble in water. They are insoluble in water. This is because they cannot form hydrogen bonding with hydrogens present in the water, or neither they can break the bonds of oxygen and hydrogen. Next point is, what if we have multiple carbon atoms? What if we have multiple carbon atoms present in a haloalkane, that is with increase in carbon atoms of a chain? Let us say an example, CH3 Cl, CH3 CH2 Cl, CH3 CH2 CH2 Cl. If this is the condition, what we observe is, with the increasing number of carbon atoms of the chain, with the increasing number of carbon atoms of the chain of similar halogen alkyl halide, then the temperature of the boiling point increases. That is, if a haloalkane has higher number of carbon atoms in its parent chain, if there are more number of carbon atoms present in the parent chain of haloalkane, then the boiling point increases. That is, with increase in carbon atom, boiling point increases. With increase in carbon atom, boiling point of haloalkane increases. But what we observe is, in the fourth point, if there are branching present, then the boiling point decreases. So, if consider CH3, CH2, 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 Cl. This is one compound, and it's one more isomer with higher number of branching, CH3, CH2, CH, CH3, Cl, and we have one more type of isomer for this, that is CH3, C, CH3, CH3, Cl. So this is three different isomers of chlorobutane, right? So these compounds have same number of carbon atom, but in order to compare those boiling points, what happens is, with increase in branching, their boiling point decreases. That is because, if you observe here, this is in a linear form. This is a slight, not kind of a linear, but in a Y form. If you observe here, this is completely in the type of spherical form. Since the number of branching increases, they come across a shape of a molecular sphere, which results in decrease in surface area, which further results in the decrease in their boiling point. That is, if you have more and more branching, the shape of the compound turns out to be spherical. Since once it gets spherical, the boiling point decreases because of the decrease in surface area. So therefore, increase in branching results in decrease in boiling point. So therefore, the order of these three compounds in the boiling point is, N-chlorobutane is having a higher boiling point when compared to 1-methyl chloropropane and 2,2-dimethyl propane. So therefore, what we can say is, if you have branching in the compound, their boiling point respectively decreases. And the last point we want to observe is, if you consider a haloalkane with respect to their mass similar to an hydrocarbon. If you consider a haloalkane, let us say CH3X with one more molecule of CH3R, where masses of X and R are similar. If molecules of haloalkane and a hydrocarbon, which is almost similar to their atomic masses or molecular mass, are taken, and if you compare those boiling points, what happens is, CH3X has more boiling point when compared to hydrocarbon of similar mass. So here CH3 have same mass, that is 15-15. If the halogen atom taken here and the alkane present over here has same amount of mass, molecular mass, and the complete molecule should be having a similar molecular mass. If you take two or more compounds have similar molecular mass, in which one is a haloalkane, the other one is just alkane, then what happens is the boiling point of haloalkane will be more than that of boiling point of our alkane. That is because we have the point of dipole moment. Okay, so this is about the physical properties of haloalkanes and haloarenes. This Rx nature again relates to same as that of the haloarenes. Okay, so I hope you have understood this physical properties. In the next class we are going to discuss about the different chemical properties which we come across for haloalkanes and haloarenes. If you understood this video, please do subscribe to my channel and share this among your friends. If you have any doubts regarding the reactions which I have explained, comment down below.